who was determined that he was going to make change and overcome this struggle.
Amen.
So when he finally got to the point where this wall is being built, the Bible says that Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem and the rest of his enemies, they began to look at the fact that they were building the wall. He said in verse 2, Sanballat and Geshem sent the message. He said, "Come, let us meet together in one of the villages in the plain of Ono." But they were scheming to harm me. So I sent messages to them with this reply: "I am carrying on a great project." Somebody say, a great work.
Great work.
"And I cannot go down."
Amen.
Why should the work stop while I leave it and go down to you? I want you to see what Nehemiah is saying. He said, "Look, I'm looking for change. I'm looking to see something different in my life."
Amen.
He said, "I don't mind struggling." He said, "But I cannot come down from this wall."
Amen.
He said, "Now I know you're trying to distract me, but why should I come down from what I'm seeing and trying to get change
Amen.
just for you?"
Huh.
We are on part 2 of struggling to change.
Yes.
And I hope if you were not here last week, please get the CD. We talked about staying on your wall.
Yes.
We talked about Nehemiah and how all the things he went through, how they tried to get him off of that wall,
Yes.
from seeing change in Jerusalem, how he refused to come off that wall. They threatened him. He just put people in place that was building the wall with one hand while they was holding a weapon in the other hand. They just refused to stop.
Yeah.
They threatened him to come out and have coffee with him, and we just want to talk to you and see if we can resolve it. He said, "Why should I come off of my wall to let you distract me from what I'm trying to change?" And I'm hoping today some of y'all will listen to the CD, take the CD if you were here. I hope you've been applying it, because I don't care what you're going through in life, it can be changed. But when you need something changed, you cannot continue to allow things to distract you to come off of your wall.
Amen.
Can I get a big amen? And so last week we defined struggle, and I have that definition in your brochures. We defined struggle to means to try very hard or with great effort to do. I think I added the word to overcome, to achieve, or deal with something that is difficult or that may cause problems. It means to try very hard, to give the best effort you can to do something, to achieve something, to overcome something, or to deal with something that is difficult or that causes problems. And one example, I talked about the fact how we, as blacks, that was a struggle for us to be able to vote. And without that struggle, how many of y'all know that we would still be struggling for the right to vote?
Amen.
But for some reason, even though other struggled, some died, some was persecuted to vote, some of us still don't get out to vote.
Amen. That's true.
And that's another message for another time too. Amen. But when you're struggling with something, somebody might be struggling with your health, but when you're struggling with something, it means that you're giving up a fight. It means that you're not willing to give in to it. So, maybe I am struggling with an addiction with drugs, and the drugs is bad, but the struggle is good. Because I'm not just saying I'm going to be a drug addict. One day I'm going to overcome this thing. Maybe you may be struggling with some type of, sexual thing, or it could be you might be struggling with alcohol, or you might be struggling with nicotine, or you might be struggling with smoking weed. I don't know what you're struggling with. But if you're struggling with it, what you're struggling with may not be a good thing, but don't be ashamed, because as long as you're struggling with it, that's the good thing. Y'all hear what I'm saying to you this morning? So to struggle with something is not always a bad thing. It shows that you are willing to fight for that thing, to see the change. I believe one of the biggest things, and this hit me, I was in a conference this week, and the Lord began to show me this. I believe one of the biggest things that we struggle with as Christians is our believing. And because we struggle with our believing, we struggle with our receiving.
Okay. That's good.
The one thing that we should be fighting to do is a lot of times the one thing that we struggle against. Our words sometimes fight against what we should be believing. Our actions a lot of times fight and struggle against what we should be believing. You and your belief in God's power and God's ability and God's promises and what He has already done for you and what He's going to do for you has to work together as a team.
Amen.
In other words, you believing in what God has already done for you, you believing in God's ability, you believing in God's promises, you believing in what God is going to do for you, you believing in that has to work together. You have to work together with what you need to be believing in order for you to see change come in those areas. Because I'm telling you, Jesus is not coming back to die for you again. Everything that He has done for you, He has already done for you.
Amen.
The Bible said He is not descending from heaven again to get back on that cross. And I don't blame Him. I promise you it's going to hurt Him as much as it did when He got on there the first time as it would the second time. And the Bible says that even if He died again, He's not reigning again for change in your life. Everything that He has already done for you, it has already been done. Your healing has been done. Your prosperity has been done. A sound mind, He's already died for that. All the things you're stressing about, He's already died for that. Supplying your needs, He's already died for that. But it comes down to a matter of, do I really believe that or not? Because what you believe will change what you're struggling with. If you will believe it. And so we spend so much time struggling with those things in life that we don't want to do, or ways that we don't want to be, that we miss the struggle that we should be having with receiving and believing in what God has already promised us.
Amen.
Don't nobody in here want to be broke.
Amen.
Do you?
Amen.
Let me ask that again. Nobody in here want to be broke, do you?
No.
So guess what we do? We struggle we struggle with changing our brokenness. But when we're struggling with changing our brokenness, there's something that has to come in and change that brokenness. And can I tell you what that is? Belief.
Amen.
Nobody wants to be sick, but we struggle with sickness. And you struggling with sickness is not what's going to change the sickness.
Okay.
There's something that has to come in to change that sickness, and that is, y'all with me this morning?
Yes.
I don't think anybody in here, well, I'm going to say most people don't want to deal with sexual addictions.
Amen.
Most people. All Christians, right?
Amen.
Yeah, right.
Come on, Pastor.
But if you are that person, there are some homosexuals who don't want to deal with homosexuality. They don't want to be homosexuals.
Right.
But there's a struggle for them to change. You're not going to just change because you're struggling with something. Something has to step in the midst of what you're struggling with and change it for you.
Amen.
And that is what?
Believe.
Let me hear you say it out loud. That is what?
Believe.
See, you have to believe what His Word says. And then you have to get to that point where you follow His instructions. Because when He's giving you instructions, He's trying to change your situation.
Amen.
So you heard Him on some occasions when you was fighting certain things in your life. You said, I don't want to do that no more. I don't want to do this no more. And you were struggling with it, or you may be struggling with it, and then the phone ring, and automatically you hear something on the inside say, don't go out that house.
Amen.
Don't go out their house. You know you're struggling with this. Just stay at home. I'm trying to help you. But you know what we do? 97.89% of the time, we go out the house. And you know what it does? It makes the struggle tougher. Because instead of waking up in the morning saying, I'm so glad I listened to the Lord, we wake up saying, Lord, I wish I went out there. You heard him say, don't eat that pack of cookies. You heard him. Because you know that you've been struggling with your weight, and you be saying, I'm going to change.
Amen.
And as soon as you in the store about to buy the cookies, you heard the Spirit say, don't buy them cookies.
Amen.
You know what we'll say? Don't worry about the Holy Spirit. I ain't going to eat but 2. Before you know it, you done ate the whole pack. Stressing over a $6 to $8 bill. You know he told you not to say that because you know you've been struggling with your mind.
Amen.
And you know at that point, you could have walked away. But that ain't what you wanted to do. See, whenever, because you have to believe that when God say, I'll take care of your enemies,
That's it.
you got to believe that you don't have to get in the middle of God and your enemies.
Amen.
Because you know that's what you're struggling with. Whether it's a verbal something God said or something that is written, you know, once you know what he said, you got to get to a point where you're not struggling with what he said no more. Because you know if you can overcome the struggle of the belief, you can overcome the struggle of what you're going through. Lord, y'all stay with me. We're going somewhere this morning.
Amen.
Glory.
See, when you continue to give in to the struggle, then there's going to be 2 struggles going on. You're going to be struggling with what you're dealing with, and you're going to be struggling with what you need to believe.
Amen.
You will overcome the struggle to change when you let go of the struggle to believe. Man, if you don't remember nothing else when we leave this place today, I need you to remember that. If you will overcome the struggle to change, stop trying to change yourself.
Amen.
Stop trying to change yourself. And stop struggling with believing. What you believe will overcome what you struggle.
Amen.
I want to show you a story over in 2 Kings chapter 5. Turn there with me. Second Kings chapter 5. Say amen when you get there. I heard a couple people say amen if you're almost there.
Amen.
You know how much time to give you. She said, Pastor Sonia. At least I didn't say amen if you just gave up and we'll just go on. Amen. 2 Kings chapter 5. This is a story about a man named Naaman. And this is such a strong story when I was reading over this. Verse 1 says, Now Naaman was commander of the army of the king of Aram. He was a great man in the sight of his master and highly regarded because through him the Lord had given victory to Aram. He was a valiant soldier, but he had one problem. He had leprosy. Now, I don't know if you all have ever heard of the leprosy preached or anything, but leprosy was a disease that, according to Jewish law, whenever you had leprosy, you could not go into the city. You had to remain out of the gates because leprosy, in a sense, was contagious. And you know, they don't know, some still trying to figure out. They say sometimes it can be through a cough. They felt like leprosy may have came through genes or whatever have you. But the thing about Naaman that was in his court was that he wasn't Jewish. So he didn't have to go by the Jewish laws. Leprosy was something that could be visible because it would start either with a reddish spot and it will grow, or it will start with a darkened spot and then it will grow, or it will start with a white spot. You all may have seen that, and it will grow. Well, today they don't call it leprosy, they call it Hansen disease. And that's because of a man, Hansen, who back in the 1800s was the first person who actually put the disease under the microscope and figured out that it was a bacteria. And because of his research, they finally came up with cures for Hansen disease. You all probably heard that before. But back then, they didn't have a cure, especially back in the 1800s. I mean, it was terrible. They would actually have what they call leprosy grade places. And they gave it another name, but it would be like a leprosy grade. And what they would do when people had leprosy, they would quarantine them. They had what they call leprosy colonies, where they would put people in these places because they had already deemed them to be dead. They had already concluded that, hey, it's just a matter of time and they're going to die because there was no cure for it. And thank God now they do have a cure, and they say, maybe 95% of the people in the world are not actually contagious to it. So it's just like that 5% that their immune systems can actually contract leprosy. But back then, it was a terrible thing because when you had leprosy, it's just a matter of time, and we know you're going to die, and they felt like it was contagious. So here's a man, Naaman, who has leprosy, that there is no cure, and he knows it's just a matter of time before he's going to die. So he got a problem that he's struggling with, right?
Amen.
Verse 2. Now bands of raiders from Aram had gone out and had taken captive a young girl from Israel, and she served Naaman's wife. So now you have one of the people from the tribe of Israel, who was God's chosen people, who is now a servant to Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, if only my master would see the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy. When Naaman went to his master, told him what the girl from Israel had said. By all means, the king says. He said, go, I will send a letter to the king of Israel. So Naaman left, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 sets of clothing. The letter that he took to the king of Israel read, with this letter, I will send my servant Naaman to you so that you may cure him of his leprosy. As soon as the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his robe and said, am I God? Can I kill and bring back to life? Why does this fellow send someone to me to be cured of this leprosy? See how he is trying to pick a quarrel with me? When Elisha the man of God heard the king of Israel had torn his robe, he sent this message. Why have you torn your robe? Have the man come to me, and he will know there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman went with his horses, his chariot, stopped at the door of Elisha's house. Elisha didn't even go to the door. He sent a messenger to say to him, go, wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored, and you will be cleansed. Verse 11. But Naaman went away angry and said, I thought that he would surely come out to me, and I thought that he would stand and call on the name of the Lord his God. I thought he'll wave his hand over the spot where the leprosy was. And I thought right there, through him doing all this big miraculous stuff, all this showboat, that something would surely happen. Now I'm going to tell you, that might have upset me a little bit too, because you done told me to come to your house. And you done told me, once I get there, I'm going to surely see that this is a man of God, and that God is as powerful as they've been saying he is. And then as soon as I get to your door, you can't even give me the respect of coming to the door. You just send somebody to the door and tell me to go and wash in a river? To dump myself 7 times? I'm expecting a little bit more than that, brother. You need to have some oil, a cloth. Give me something. Show me something. So he said, surely. How many of y'all know that Elisha could have easily done that?
Amen.
Because if you read the chapter before, he just had brought a little boy back to life. So he could have easily done this thing and called on the Lord. But no, he said, I'm not going with that. Now, let me define something for you. Belief. Belief is an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists.
Amen.
It is a statement that someone accepts to be true or real. See, I believe that God is a healer.
Amen.
I believe that God can heal me outside of the natural.
Amen.
Y'all hear what I'm saying?
Amen.
Now, I can't see healing. I don't know when He's going to heal me.
Amen.
But I believe that it's a supernatural thing. I believe it because His Word says it. And once I hear a word on it, or I see a word on it, it gives me something to believe.
Amen.
I believe that God gives supernatural promotion.
Amen.
I believe that God, as the Bible says, that God can set one up, bring one down. Because promotion comes, as the Bible says, not from the north, south, east, or west. In other words, it don't depend on what man's willing to do.
Amen.
But promotion comes from the Lord. I believe God is a supernatural provider.
Amen.
You know why? Because His Word said it. And when I saw His Word on it, it gave me something to believe.
That's good. That's
And
good.
you got to understand, whenever there's a word on it, there's going to come opposition to it.
Amen.
And so now Naaman has never heard nothing like this before. You go dump in the pool 7 times and you're going to come out fresh.
Yeah.
And so now here lies the struggle, because now he's heard something that contradicts what he's been all his life. And so now he has to make a decision. Okay, am I going to sit here and keep struggling with the leprosy, or am I going to believe what this man of God said?
Amen.
It was all in what he believed now. Because he just heard something that can change his life and that can turn around his situation. If he had never heard a word that would change him, then the struggle remains with the leprosy. But now he's heard a word that would change him, so the struggle should now no longer be with the leprosy, it's now with what he needs to believe. Because when you heard something that contradicts what you're struggling with, now there's something right down the middle. And you can either look to the left or to the right. You can either look at what you're struggling with, or you can either look at what you believe. As long as you stay at what you're struggling with, it gonna stay the same. Y'all don't hear me this morning.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord. Yes.
Because when you choose to continue to look at what you're struggling with, now you're struggling with 2 things. You're struggling with what you're struggling with, and you're struggling with what you need to be believing.
Amen.
So there's a word in this Bible that says God is a healer.
Ah.
And you've heard it.
Amen.
I know I've read it.
Amen.
We went over it numerous times.
Yes.
But let me ask you something. How many of y'all still struggling with what you're going through? And haven't went over to the other side with what you need to be believing?
Amen.
Some of y'all still fighting bitterness. We went 5 weeks on bitterness, strife, anger. Some of us still struggling with it
Amen.
because we refuse to believe.
Amen.
Ah.
I got one faith. I preached 3 weeks on giving and tithing. Guess what? Some of us still looking over here.
Amen.
I'm trying, Pastor. It ain't about trying. Just believe it. Just believe.
Amen.
Just believe. Because you're going to keep struggling if you don't ever take the time to believe.
Break it down.
you to struggle than it is for you to believe.
Amen.
Because for you to really believe, that means you're going to have to spend some time with the Lord.
Amen.
Yeah. Can I get an amen? Because for you to really believe, it goes back to what Proverbs chapter 3 says, to acknowledge him in all your ways. That word acknowledge means to get to know him. See, to get to know him means that sometimes you got to cut your TV off. You got to put your phone on mute. You got to get still with God. It means you got to have some praying time with him. It means you got to do some fasting. It means that you got to do some meditating. It means that you actually have to read your word. It means that you're really going to have to get in that word and do some studying. And for a lot of us, that just takes too much time. But I'm telling you, if you keep putting all this energy over here, you're never going to put enough time over here. And instead of struggling to believe, you need to put more time in trying to believe and struggling to believe.
Amen.
Did y'all get that?
Amen.
Because we put a lot of time in struggling to believe, but we don't put enough time into trying to believe.
Amen.
And so now he's at this point where he said, couldn't he have done something different? Like, I don't understand how me going down to this river is going to change what I'm struggling with. And then he comes up in verse 12 and he said, are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Could not wash in them and be cleansed? So he turned and went off in rage. Now, here's his argument, because he was a little mad, because Jordan was one of the dirtiest rivers. And the thing I've learned about God, sometimes he got to dump you. Thank you, bro. God bless you, man. God bless you, bro. Sometimes he has to dump you in some of the dirtiest places to get you to cleanness.
Yeah. Okay.
But look, verse 13, Naaman's servants went to him and said, my father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more then, when he tells you to just go and do something simple? So just go and wash and be cleansed. You know what he's saying? He's saying, you stepped out here to see change. God bless you. We'll be with you. God bless you, man. He said, you stepped out here to see change. And now there's a little struggle going on. And you want to go back without seeing what you came here for?
Amen.
Boy, yeah.
Come on now. Let him preach enough.
Why you want to bring us out here all this way? For you to see change. For you to get over what you've been struggling with. And all of a sudden, there's a little opposition. Something different happens than what you wanted to happen. And all of a sudden, now you want to give up. And all you got to do is believe what the man said and go do what the man says, and your whole life will change.
Amen.
Oh, Lord, how many of y'all may be at that moment right now where you want change in your life? You don't want to keep seeing the same paycheck.
Amen.
You don't want to be on the same job next year. You want to go ahead and finish that education because you know if you finish it, you'll get more money on your job.
Amen.
You want to find a good man or a good woman, but every time a little something wrong happens, you run away. But you've been looking for change, but every time something don't happen the way you want it to happen, forget it, honey. I guess I wasn't meant for love. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Just because there's a little opposition in your life, it don't mean God ain't worked something out. I'm trying to tell you, what Elijah was telling this man to do, it was already done. If he just do what? Believe.
Yes. Bye-bye. Come on, Pastor, you teach. Yes.
Thank you.
And thank God he has some good people with him.
Amen.
That's what you need in your life. You don't need people that's always trying to talk you out of what you're trying to do. I thank God that he has some good people in his life, but I also thank God that he listened. I love the fact where Ephesians chapter 6 says, for we struggle not against flesh and blood. And a lot of times when we preach that, you know what? We're thinking about other people. But guess what? You could be that flesh and blood too. The biggest struggle you maybe have going on in your life is you.
Come on now.
It's within. It's the insecurity that you have within.
Amen.
It's the doubt and the unbelief that you have within.
Yes.
It's those things within. What happened yesterday? What happened last year? What happened 3 years ago? I tried it that way. I tried it this way. Or I saw somebody. It's you. And that's why it's so easy for people to talk you out of it, because you've already really made your decision. I don't know about this. And then somebody just come and say, I don't know about that. You say, well, I don't know about it. I guess I won't do it. And you know that the Holy Spirit is speaking to you, saying, I know about it.
Amen.
That's right. Amen. Thank you, Jesus. Amen. Yes, it is. Glory.
So now he's sitting here.
Hallelujah.
He's sitting here thinking. On one hand, he's thinking about the leprosy. And on the other hand, he's thinking about what those guys just said. And he's going back to the leprosy. Oh, I really don't want to be like this. But it just don't seem like it can happen like this. And on the other hand, he's thinking, but these guys are telling me it's worth a try.
Yes, it is. Amen. Thank you.
But I've been like this for so long. Can this be changed? Master, why would we come this far? And you not at least believe what the man said?
Amen. Amen.
I want to take a statement from the old church. We've come this far by faith.
Say that.
So what if you got to struggle through something? Just believe.
Amen.
Can I say something? What do you have to lose? All right. Verse 14. So I guess he finally gave in. He said, I'm just going to believe this thing. So he went down, dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times, as the man of God had told him. And his flesh was restored and became clean like that of a young boy.
Amen.
Then Naaman and all his attendants went back to the man of God. He stood before him and said, now I know. Now I know that there is no God in all the world except in Israel. I'm going to tell you something. When he told him to go dip in that water, I've preached this before, but that was a now moment for Naaman.
Amen.
That was a moment that if you don't do this now, you can't come back tomorrow. It ain't going to be there for you tomorrow. Because the Bible says that he got angry. He was about to go back. And if he would have went back, he would have never seen the change that was already waiting for him to do. And do you know that he didn't tell him to dump once? He said dump 7 times. Because you know what? Change don't always come overnight. Change comes from a point to where I say, I'm going to believe it. But hell hits your life. I'm still going to believe it. The doctors give you another bad report. I'm still going to believe it. Pain hits your body. I'm still going to believe it. They still don't know what to do. I'm still going to believe it. 7 times. They can't find nothing. And I always believe it. Out of all those struggles, out of all those reports, out of everything I went through, after that 7th time, because I was willing to go through the struggle and believe what he said. It may not happen overnight, but But I'm telling you, your victory is already in place.
Yes.
You will learn how to believe.
Hallelujah.
Yes,
Yes, Jesus.
Jesus.
Hallelujah.
Praise God.
Thank you, Jesus.
And when he stopped struggling with the belief part, he saw change. Man, y'all don't hear me this morning. It's like it's something I want to say, but I can't get it out in words. It's like I just want to say it in tongue, and maybe you'll understand. Or maybe it will interpret on the CD and be different from what I say here. But man, I'm just trying to tell you, a lot of us are struggling with things, but if you'll just focus on what you need to believe, when you get to that point, see, it may take 7 times for you to dump, for you to actually believe what you're saying. And you may not believe it as soon as you're trying to believe it, but if you stay steadfast, the Bible says steadfast and immovable, and you stay on what you believe, it may not be a total belief in the beginning, but sooner or later he'll change your belief to your unbelief to believe, and you'll see what you need to see. I'm getting ready to talk. You remember the time Jesus had came to town, and there was a man who had a lunatic boy. The Bible says he used to foam at the mouth, and all times he'll go in the fire, and he was just lunatic. And the Bible says that he came to Jesus, and Jesus said, well, what's going on, brother? You know, I'm kind of paraphrasing a little bit, but he said, what's going on, brother? How you doing? He said, look, Jesus, I got a lunatic boy. I'm coming to you because I took him to your disciples first, and they tried to do something, but apparently they didn't have enough power or something. But I've seen you at work. I've seen you, and I know you can do this.
Right.
He said, so I bring him to you now. And he said, Jesus, if you have any compassion, will you please heal my son? Jesus looked at the man. He said, now I can heal him, but let me tell you what you're going to need. If you can only believe, then all things are possible to you. And the Bible says the man immediately cried out to Jesus and said, God, I believe, but help my unbelief. I'm telling you, if you are to that point, and the Bible says when he said that, Jesus healed him. See, you may be to that point where you believe, but there's still a sense of unbelief going on. Let me tell you, don't be scared to cry out to God. Say, God, I'm trying. God, I'm trying to have more faith. I'm trying to believe more. I'm trying to get more attentive to your word. But I'm just struggling with it. Lord, I believe, but would you please help my unbelief?
Amen.
Don't be scared to ask him. How many of y'all know we got a gracious Father?
Hallelujah.
Lord, if you can only believe. I'm going to finish with this one. You remember Jairus? And the Bible says Jairus came to Jesus and said, Jesus, my daughter's about to die. Can you come and just lay your hands on her? And Jesus was walking with Jairus. And that's when the lady of issue of blood came. And the Bible says that when they left the lady with the issue of blood, they were heading to her daughter. And all of a sudden, one of the people from the house came and said, Jairus, don't worry about it. Just leave the teacher alone. She's dead. And Jesus looked at Jairus. And he said a few words. He said, if you only believe,
Amen.
your daughter will be healed.
Amen.
You know what he said? Don't struggle with that right now.
Amen.
Don't struggle with that right now. I know what the bill looks like. I know you don't have the money. I know it all won't be on your paycheck this Friday. But don't struggle with that right now. Only believe. I know what the report says. I saw the report. I knew the report before they even gave it to you. But don't sit here and struggle over that right now. Only believe. I know how bad your kids are. I know what they're doing in them streets. Matter of fact, they're doing some stuff that you don't even know they're doing. I understand that. I know they've been in trouble. I know they kind of sweating a little bit, but I don't need you to struggle with that and get yourself all sick and your blood pressure all high. What I need you to do is
Believe.
That's right. Amen.
That's good. Yes, sir.
Glory.
And he said, when you learn to believe, healing will take place.
Yes,
And as I close, all of these everything being said
Uh-huh.
and them making a choice to believe.
Yes, Lord.
It's amazing. I used to be a doubter when it came to giving. Because I just didn't believe when the preacher said, you know, you give, God will give back to you. I didn't believe that. I struggled with that. Until one day I just sat down and said, now look, if you're going to believe this word or not, you ain't going to be faking it going to church every Sunday and you don't believe what this word says.
Amen.
And so it took me finally stop struggling with what I needed to believe, to just say I'm going to believe it and give and see the difference that God can make in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Amen.
The same thing with healing. How you struggle with that? How can supernaturally somebody be healed?
Huh.
Until one day my son was sitting on a doctor's in the hospital. And I said, God, I just believe you're a healer. On the way to the hospital, that's all I was saying. Thank God he healed.
Amen.
By the time they said he had actually stopped breathing. But by the time I got there, he sat up talking. Daddy, why are you crying? What you mean why I'm crying? On the shaking. What you mean, brother? But that was that point where I could have struggled with what was going on.
Yeah.
I could have just believed.
Yeah.
And I chose to believe.
Amen.
Yes. Yes.
Some of y'all at that point right now in your life where you're struggling with what you see. You're struggling with what you heard. You're struggling with what you're going through. And God is saying, you're struggling with it, ain't going to change it.
Amen.
It's okay to fight with it. But you know how you fight with it? Y'all are good. Y'all are good. I'm thinking every one of y'all can take this message and go teach it somewhere on your job.
Amen.
Y'all. I believe it.
Amen.
Did y'all get anything out of that? God is a supernatural God who can do supernatural things.
Amen.
But you cannot give up on him.
Hallelujah.
You cannot void him out of him. You
Amen.
cannot exclude him. The only thing he's asking as your heavenly Father who loves you so much is that you'll just get him involved and believe what he's saying.
Amen. Amen.
Father, we thank you.
Thank you.